You might think you know the scariest movie villains, but these three are on a whole new level. I was first traumatized by on-screen villains in 1984 when I watched Friday the 13th, the final chapter. I mean, as a 9-year-old at a sleepover, there was just something about watching Jason that has stuck with me ever since. Jason and his horror film cronies like Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers are a special kind of villain, that's for sure. But they don't even scratch the surface of my top 3 list today. And for me, leaving such an impression is definitely a quality of a good villain. A good villain? You know what I mean. A good villain sticks with you. They stick in your head. They get under your skin, metaphorically and sometimes literally. So yes, an unforgettable villain is a villain indeed. Here's my top 3 list of the most unforgettable and terrifying villains. Coming in at number 3 for me is Patrick Bateman in American Psycho. One of the creepiest things about Bateman is that he appears totally normal. I mean, he looks normal. In fact, he looks better than normal. He's attractive, he's successful, he's polished. He also has a great job, a great apartment, a great social life. On paper, some might say he's living the American dream. He blends in perfectly, and that's one of the most dangerous things about him. We trust him. And he's not hiding in the shadows waiting to jump out at you. He could be standing beside you in an elevator. He could be comparing business cards with you at a meeting. Or he could be sharing a drink with you at the Christmas party. He could be anyone. But under that surface perfection, there's nothing. There's no empathy, there's no connection, and there's definitely no real emotion. A true psycho. The thing about Patrick Bateman is that his violence is scary and deliberate. It's almost like a ritual for him. It's driven by his need for control, not emotion. It seems kind of like a performance, and the performance is for himself. He kills people to play out this fantasy role of himself that he's created in his head. Unsettling, to say the least. And as disturbing and horrible as he is, he's still limited as a villain, because his actions are somewhat contained. What I mean by this is everything he does within his own world, to satisfy only himself. His violence is very much tied to his ego. It lets him live out his fantasy. He's not trying to prove a bigger point, so he's dangerous, but only within his own bubble. Compared to the next two, his impact is significantly smaller. Coming in at number 2 for me is Hannibal Lecter, most notably from the film The Silence of the Lambs. Like Bateman, Lecter hides in plain sight. For example, on many occasions, Clarice sits with him and speaks about totally normal things. He can do this in part because of his training and his experience as a psychiatrist. This role has given him an advantage because people trust him. They open up to him. They tell him everything. He's educated, he's calm, he's well-spoken. He's also refined. Think a nice Chianti. And he's well-respected. No one looks at Lecter as a threat, and he uses this fact to his advantage. Another thing that makes Lecter so creepy is his level of control. He studies people, he takes his time, he understands how they think, what they want, and what they fear. In some cases, he knows his victims better than they know themselves. Lecter's intelligence and his patience means that when he finally does kill, there's no hesitation, there's no impulsivity, and there are definitely no mistakes. That level of control over his actions makes him far more dangerous than someone who acts impulsively. What sets Lecter one step above Bateman is that Lecter doesn't kill just for the sake of killing that one person. He uses his killings as leverage to bait others, like the FBI, for example. He kills in order to control and manipulate others. But even with all of that, he's still operating within a system. Meaning, he follows a pattern, he has rules, and there's somewhat of a logic to what he does. And, like Bateman, his violence and his killings are very much inspired by his ego. He prides himself on being just one step ahead of his victim. That means that as dangerous as he is, he can still be studied and, to a degree, anticipated. And that's why he's number 2. Let's move on to my number 1 pick of most terrifying villain. Maybe you'll agree with me on this one. My number 1 pick is the Joker, most notably of The Dark Knight. For me, the Joker is by far the scariest of the 3 because he removes any sense of predictability. Bateman and Lecter are both terrifying, but we can understand their motivations and perhaps predict their actions. But with the Joker, there are no rules. No logic you can rely on. You can't read him, you can't anticipate him, and you definitely cannot reason with him. Because unlike the other two, the Joker's crimes are not ego-driven. He doesn't crave money, he doesn't crave power, he doesn't crave control. What he craves is chaos. Although the Joker does sometimes kill with his own hands like Bateman and Lecter, for the most part he operates on a whole other level. What he does instead is sets other people up against one another, and then he steps back to watch the chaos unfold. If you know the film, think of the ferry scene. No spoilers here, so if you haven't seen it, go and check it out. So for the Joker, it's not just about the killing, and this is maybe the most terrifying thing about him. He wants that chaos, even if it means that he himself is harmed in the process. Unlike the other two, he has no sense of self-preservation. He's willing to put himself in danger, even die, if it means creating more chaos. The Joker will walk straight into danger if it means preserving his purpose. Nothing can threaten him, nothing can deter him, and nothing can control him. And that's why he's my #1 pick for most terrifying villain. So there we have it. That's my top 3 list of villains. What's that you say? What about Darth Vader? What about Norman Bates? What about Nurse Ratched? So many to choose from. So tell me, who makes your top 3?